Good?
Yeah, what page?
Good evening, my Rabbi Sai. As it is the 3 weeks, we're going to do a piece in the Kinos. The Zera Shimshon here in the second volume in Zera Shimshon, in the back of the Sefer, has on all 5 Megillas. If you don't mind turning to page Tuf Kuf Aleph. Tuf Kuf Aleph, letter Ches in the Kinos. As it is the 3 weeks, so Lama learning in Yonei Diyoima. I want to thank the sponsors. Give a big mazel tov to Eliezer Rubin on the engagement of his daughter. And the engagement is now. Mamish now, at the time of Zera Shimshon. He comes every week, he sits right over here. But now, Baruch Hashem, the schus of the Zera Shimshon, Shimshon Chaim V'Nachum Echol, was Zaycha, made a shidduch with his daughter. By all of us who, Baruch Hashem, need shidduchim by our children, the boys and the girls, Zivugim Agunim, and all the brachas, Yeshuas, Refuas, Nechamas, Baruch Hashem Yisbarach. Okay, Kedushin Perekama. Let's read a little bit of the Gemara in the background and how it's Noigeya to the 3 weeks. The Gemara says as follows, in the Sugya of Kibud Av Ve'em, the Gemara says that Amar Rebavo, we're talking about people who are mekayim the mitzvah of Kibud Av Ve'em. Kibud Av Ve'em is something which is a person's mechabed his father meviu l'chayil mabo. Amar Rebavo, Kegoin Avimi Bri. Rebavo says, my son Avimi was mekayim Kibud Av Ve'em. How so? Chamisha b'nei Samcha havalei lavimi. He had 5 boys who were b'nei Samcha, which means that they had smicha. They were choshev tamidei chachamim. And yet, when Zaidi, Rebavo, came to the house, and there was an opportunity to be mechabed the Zayda, it was Reb Avimi himself who was mechabed his father. Says the Gemara, he would come and call out by the gate, and he would come and say, I'm coming. There was one day when he brought him something to drink. Omar, he said, Ashkoyin Maya, bring me some water. Ada Osile Nimnam. The Tata, Rebavo, fell asleep. He dozed off. So his son Avimi was standing with a cup of water, and the Tata schluft. He's not going to wake up his father, but he also wants to be there as soon as his father wakes up so that he can give him the water that he asked for. Says the Gemara, and this is where we pick up in our Zera Shimshon, is about to pick up. He was there, Gochin Le Aloi. He was leaning over him ad the Is'ar, until he woke up. Istayir Milse, in that position, while he's ready to be Mekayim, the mitzvah of Kibud Av Ve'em, and the truth is that he went to be Mekayim the mitzvah. It's just he wasn't able to fear his eyes.
Because he brought it to him.
He had, right? Exactly. But he wasn't Mekayim because the Gemara says, Machilu, Mashkeyu, you have to give him. So he didn't give him yet. The Tatat Gebeten. He had a siyata deshmaya that he never had in his life. Leaning over his father, waiting to give him to drink. Says the Gemara in Kedushin Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis. Istaya Milsa, it became for him, he had a zchus, v'dorish avimi, and he darshaned a mizmar. He darshan the chelik of Tehillim that till this point he had never known what it meant. Mizmar la'asaf. This is where the Zera Shimshon begins. Istaya milsa v'darish avime mizmar la'asaf. Elikim bo goyim benachla secha. I have a siddur over here, Efshar. A siddur or a Tehillim. Siddur, a siddur. Shekoyach. Asif sang a song. Mizmar la'asaf. Elikim. Bo goyim benachlasecha. The goyim have come to your nachla, to your place of inheritance. Timu es heichal kodshecha. They contaminated your heichal. Samu es Yerushalayim le'iyim. Nosu es nivlas avadecha machal shamachal lo'iv shamayim. They gave the food, Neba Klal Yisrael's geschochten. Timu es heichal lecha. The question obviously is, Mizmar, you're singing. Asaf, you're singing. What are you singing for? You should be crying. He never knew what this meant until he was mishamish his father, waiting to be mishamish his father, leaning over, holding the water ready to give him. And that moment of siyata dishmaya, he got a havraka, which means that he had this insight. He had this flash of an insight, and he understood.
So Asaf is what? Asaf is a person. It's a name.
Who is Asaf? Fragt Meir. Who is he? Asaf was the son of Kairach. When Kairach, as we're soon going to see, was swallowed up, all of the families went in too. But on the way down, his children did tshuva. One of them was Asaf. Mizmar la'asaf. When we say Lam Natzech Livnei Kairach, the Bnei Kairach on the way down to Gehenim, we learned about it a few weeks ago, Vatiftach Eretz Espiyah, that they weren't even zeicha to die. Kairach wasn't. But his children did tshuva on the way down, and the children were saved. Says Upirish Rashi, and Rashi explains over here, Haven Medrash. So let's read the lashon of Rashi. Ba'oidai gachen lefanov, as he was laying over him, Haven Medrash Mizmar Echad Shebesefer Tehillim Shlo Haya Maven Koidim Lechein Ledarsha. He never understood how to darshan this, and he understood it. V'yesh Mefarshim. Some people say it wasn't the whole parak in Tehillim, but it was rather just this pasuk that he understood. Regardless, he had a havraka. He had an understanding that he never had before. What did he say? Darish mizmal asav lekim bayinach lasecha. Kina na asav mebayale. He should be crying. He should say kinis. Darish kach. Sha'amar asav shira al shekila kadosh baruch hu chamosai be'etzim u'va'abonim shebebeisai. He realized that, of course, Klal Yisrael was guilty. And of course, the Eibishter was right for punishing Klal Yisrael, destroying the Beis HaMikdash. However, if the Eibishter would have really been with Midas Adin, he would have taken it out on Klal Yisrael lo yaleinu. Instead, as we are so familiar with the statement, Shafach Chamosoi, he let him take the din against Klal Yisrael went on the Beis HaMikdash. Umetoich kach hoisir pleita b'Yisrael. Rashi says, we survived. We were able to run away. Shilmole kach, had it not been for that, lo nishtar misayni Yisrael srid. The pasuk in Eicha that says HaKadosh Baruch Hu's anger came out, kila chamosai, and then the yotzitz eish b'tzion, the fire of Tzion, meant that the chema, the anger of the Eibishter, went on to the Beis HaMikdash, and this way Klal Yisrael was saved. Who figured this out? This was Asaph who figured it out, who said this. And this is, as the Gemara is telling us, that Avimi had gechapt this shtikala. That's how he understood the Mizmar. Says the Zera Shimshon, Ubetoisvis sham kosaf. Tosfos adds, Shasaf Amar Shira al Shetavoy Ba'oretz She'oreha. Tosfos brings up pshat that the gates of the Beis HaMikdash sunk into the ground. Tavu Ba'oretz She'oreha. Says the Medrash, Marshal L'Shivcha. Once upon a time, there was a maidservant. She yorda lishav mayim. She went to draw water. Says Tosfos, ve nafal kada leber. Her jug fell into the be'er. V'hoisa mitzta'eres u'boicha. She was distraught and crying. Ad sheboso shivchas hamelech lishoiv. The Medrash brings down that one of the servants of the king showed up, and she also had butterfingers, and for her it was a golden vessel that now fell into the be'er. So now two pots had fallen in, two shissels, the one from the shivcha, which was made out of cheres, and the keli shozov. His chila harishayna l'shoirer. She started singing. You know why she was singing? The first shivcha, you know why she was singing? Because now that the king's gold vessel fell in, someone's going to come, they'll call chavaidim, or they'll get someone, chavivim, yedidim, someone will show up, pull out that one, and guess what? Mine will come out too. Says, listen to this. Zok derazoy, shahoisa mishayra. She started singing. Why? Because she knew, Misha yoitzi oise shozov yoitzi kadi imay. Mine will come out. Kach b'nei kairach, shahoya beluim. They were swallowed up. Kishiro shetavay ba'aret sha'oreha. When they saw the gates of Yerushalayim, or the Beis HaMikdash actually, sunk into the ground, Amru Shira, Amru Misha Yoitzi Hasha'arim, Yoitzi Gamoisanu, Lekach Omar Osaf Mizmer, Shehu Mimishpachas Koirach. Tosfos has a different read on the story. Tosfos' version of the story is that by observing how the Sha'arim went down, and they certainly will come up, so will Kairach. As I state, read it inside with me over here. Zogt the Zera Shimshon, Moshel Shimcha Shiyared Lishav Mayim, Kach b'nei Kairach Shaya Beluyim, Kishero Shetova Barat Sharel Amu. They said, Mi sheyoytze hasharim yoytzi gam itanu, will also go out. Good? Frek the Zera Shimshon. What does the shi'arim of the Beis HaMikdash have to do with Kairach and B'nai Kairach? By the way, it sounds like from Tosfos that they were still in the ground. These are not the children that were saved, because it says we plus, as we'll soon see, Kairach's going to come out too. Vos tutzach do. Ma pitom. Just because the Sha'arim come out, so too this will come out. Zuk the heilige Zera Shimshon. There's a Vosuk Siyitzi. Avadi wanted to be Kohen Gadol, but look where it happened to him, right? Yeah, okay. V'yesh loymar. Darminim beperk dalas Sanhedrin. The Gemara says, Miyom shepascha says pio. v'kibla l'damai shel hevel shuv loy pascha. When Cain killed Hevel, the blood of Hevel spilled out, and it state vatiftach haaretz es pia, and it swallowed up the blood of Hevel. State in the Gemara, since that time, it never opened its mouth again. Frag the Gemara, what's with Kairach? What do you mean it never opened up? Eisvei vatiftach es pia, state by Kairach it opened up. And for the Gemara, avad it opened up. When it opened up its mouth by Hevel, it was a favor. It swallowed up the blood so it shouldn't be seen. That tiftach aretz es pia was l'toiva. It was the earth doing the rotzain of humanity in a positive way. Vatifta l'ra pascha. With Kairach, however, it was l'ra. And this is a very big vart, Rabbi say. L'ra pascha, l'toiva lai pascha. Because of Ataisis, what does it mean? Because when Hevel's blood went into the ground, there was nothing left. So when the Gemara says that the earth won't open up its mouth again, it means l'toiv it won't open up its mouth again. L'ra it will. Says the Gemara, it says the Zera Shimshon in Cain, av kishabol oretz hasha'arim, even when the earth swallowed up these sharm shu dover chutz ma'ateva, k'moy shayse b'lay dama shel hevel, shay rishu nikar, tzorich loyma shepascha piyah. We have to say that it opens its mouth. V'en yacholos v'tach kim l'ra. L'chayra, it could only open its mouth l'ra, because it only opened its mouth once l'toiva, which was for Hevel. If it opened up its mouth again, it's only l'ra, like by Kairach. V'l'chayra shehu l'toiva kadei sheyishet u'umas b'isen sha'arim. Wasn't the reason that it got swallowed up is that the Gaon shouldn't carry it away. They carried away the menorah, right? They carried away some of the kalim in Bayis Sheni, and Bayis Rishon. Things were hidden so she shouldn't take the aron, etc. So l'chayra, it opened up its mouth l'toiva. So how can you say that the aretz doesn't open its mouth l'toiva when it opened up for these sha'arim? Dafmin Zogin, that it opened up its mouth also l'ra. Why? Because these sha'arim had a special zchus, says the Zera Shimshon. Anything that David and Moshe Rabbeinu was associated with directly, Yad Shel Goyim Lo Sholtu Behem. Why couldn't Moshe Rabbeinu or David HaMelech build the Beis HaMikdash? David HaMelech will say because he had blood on his hands. Aber sollst du wissen, if David HaMelech would have made the Beis HaMikdash, it would have had the same status of Moshe Rabbeinu, which means it never would have been destroyed. Which of course means that if Klal Yisrael sins, then the eitz of Shafach HaMosa al Eitzim al Abanim wouldn't be an option, because then you wouldn't be able to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, in a sense, the fact that the Eibishter didn't allow David or Moshe Rabbeinu to build the Beis HaMikdash because the Eibishter knew that Klal Yisrael would sin, so it was in a sense a favor to Klal Yisrael. It was a favor. Why? Because this way, if Klal Yisrael sins, the Beis HaMikdash, the Eibishter will be Shafach HaMos al Eitzim v'Avadim and not on Klal Yisrael. V'chol oid, but these sha'arim that had the schus of David, v'chol oid shahayu hashiarim kayamim gam hasoinim lo yocholim lekanes. So as long as these sha'arim were around, the soinim couldn't go in. Now shenitvu yocholim l'soinim l'shloi. Now that fakert, that they were swallowed up in the ground, the doorway was open for the goyim to go in. Tavu, it says in Eicha, Tavu ba'aretz sha'areha. The sha'arim were swallowed up, and then Oz Avad v'Shiva Bracha. That's when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. So in other words, Zok Zera Shimshon, let's summarize. the Oretz opens up its mouth only for Ra ever since the days of Hevel. When Hevel was swallowed, when Hevel's blood was swallowed up, it was L'Toiva. But says the Gemara in Sanhedrin, for here going forward, it's only L'Ra. So L'Kairach it's L'Ra, and L'Chayra L'Sharm it's L'Ra. Why is it L'Ra? But L'Chayra this way, the Goyim won't be able to take it. Says the Zera Shimshon, they wouldn't be able to take it because it's something which was made by David HaMelech or Shaykh to David HaMelech. So therefore it's L'Ra. Umetchilo hayosoivrim b'nei Kairach sha'aretz eina poischen l'piakim L'Ra. V'efsher oid livnei Kairach la'alois she'eina aretz oid poisachas pi'elatoiva. They thought that if the Sharm went in, and just like they went in, they're never going to come out. V'zeu v'atochas aleim ha'aretz, the aretz covered them over and they're not coming out. Shekisas ofar aleim la'olam. So what does the Shi'arim and Kairach have in common? That they're both swallowed up by the earth. Aber state in Medrash Mizmar la'asayv. When the Eibishter rebuilds the Beis HaMikdash, those Shi'arim that up until now have been submerged, they'll come back. That Rabbi Eibishter will bring back the Beis HaMikdash. He'll bring a Beis HaMikdash Mishamayim. But Yenu Sha'arim that are Shaykh to David will come back up. Which means that the Aretz will open up its mouth again. But not to swallow, but to take out. Be'olam hazeh, the Aretz spits, swallows. But la'osid lovay achar atikun, then the Aretz will give back. Zok the Zera Shimshon, omnom, ato shiro b'lias ha'sha'arim, shebevadai elu yachseru, they will come back. Tzorech loymar shemash anu oimrim she'ein la'oid peh la'aretz ki'im la'ro, hainu davka b'olam hazeh. When it says that the earth doesn't open up its mouth is only for this, only l'raz for this world. But when Olam Haba comes and it's needed, when the Rebbeinu Shalom will bring the Beis HaMikdash, Tachser ha'oretz liftoyach pia afilu l'toiva. Im kain av kairach v'siyato yacholim la'alois. So then even kairach can also go up. Which means, on a practical note, when the Eibishter punishes Chalila, it's never because he wants to do it forever. It's only, like we say in Yiddish, zeitweilig, it's in the meantime. A person goes through a hard time, is going through a gullus, is going through a difficult time. He needs or she needs a tikkun. It's what it's meant to be mitaking. And when a person is mekabelit, and a person is willing and able to change their opinion and make things better, then it gets fixed. Zok the Zera Shimshon, the Sha'arim, Tavu ba'aret sha'arel, they're swallowed up. But says the Medrash, Mizmar la'asaf. What was Asaf singing about? He said, if you can see that the Sha'arim are swallowed up, so they go down with us. So just like we're down, they're down. And the Eibusha is going to take them up. Just like the servant whose kad falls into the water. When the queen's or the king's kad falls in and that one comes out, everything comes out. So Kairach will come up together with those sharp, those zokter. That's his first pshat. And then he says, Al pi Kabbalah at zweite pshat. It's Yodua, the Ariya Kodesh writes, we've talked about it here in the past, that the kilkul of Cain and Hevel, how Cain and Hevel fought with each other, and Cain killed Hevel, was Mesukin al Yidei Moshe Rabbeinu and Yisroi. Ayidei Moshe Rabbeinu, the Shloah Kodesh brings down that Moshe is Moshe Hevel Mashiach. Azay Meinach. Moshe Hevel. Hevel's years was fulfilled through Moshe Rabbeinu. Zog de Zera Shimshon. V'oid b'derech acher. Nedaber boy nichbodos. I want to explain, says the Zera Shimshon, another mahalach, and answer another kasha and explain how and the world and how Kairach was misukin al yedei Moshe. Zok der azoy. Frek the Zera Shimshon. It says that the sha'arim were swallowed up. Frek the Zera Shimshon. How do you know that those sha'arim would for sure come back up? Mi higid livnei Kairach sha'asharim yachsur la'alos. How did they know they were going to come back? Maybe they'll always be there. The Pirish Rashi, and the answer is, the Pirish Rashi, Tavu ba'aret sha'areha. Two things are noteworthy about these sha'arim. Number one, cholka kavod la'aron. Number one, it was cholku kavod la'aron, which means to say that they didn't open up until until the aron came, and then they gave the kavod su sharm rasheichem asu pischei oilam v'yavei melech hakavod. The sha'arim gave kavod to the Eibishter, and they gave also kavod to David. Inami lefi shaya ma'isa David. V'hainu masha kasavnu l'mala. But there's another reason. The Medrash says, and the Unkelis brings it down, that when the Goyim came to be Metama the Beis HaMikdash, they smeared the Sha'arim with dam of a chazer. They shechted a chazer and they spilled pig's blood on the Sha'arim. The Goyim. Shetirgam timu ba'aretz ta'areha al dinischu chazira v'avila mindova alehen. They poured from a chazer the blood on these sha'arim. V'lefize hu oynish shenenshu. Ubishvil haklipa sheshara alehem, and because of the tumah that was on these sha'arim, hutvu betita yoven lamarikas atumah. They had to go back into the ground because they had to become mesukin. We once spoke about the fact that me'ofar ato ve'el ofar toshuv. The biggest favor that the Eibishter can do for a person after he sins is wipe him clean from his own mistakes. How does that happen? State in the Gemara, the Rambam brings down that Misa cleans a person. It's one of the Chelkei Tshuva. That's why Chas v'Shalom and Nebuch Lo Aleinu, when a person passes away, they say vidui, and the nusach of the vidui is that my Misa should be mechaper. But that's not enough. He has to go in the ground. They have to go in the ground. Me'ofar atov el ofar toshuv. When they go back into the ground, then they're mischaber, ki'ilu, back to the ground, and then whatever chelik hara there is decomposes. Derech agav. One of the secrets of mikvah, when a person goes into the mikvah and is matar himself, and it has to be like a natural body of water, is because it's nochamol me'ofar atov el ofar toshuv. By going into the mikvah, a person is connecting back into the ground, and when he comes out, and a person has in mind a bria chadosha, benanaya bria. When these gates were covered with blood of a chazer, there was no place else for them to go except back into the ground. They had to be swallowed up. They had to go back in, they had to go to the ground. Aber, when they came out, when they will come out, they come out misukin. How so? Zok the Zera Shimshon. Ela she'amru, lama nikra shema chazir. Why is a pig called a chazir? She'osid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahachziroi lanu. It will be given back to us. Hoyul, meaning,
It's going to be mutter to eat or something?
state the Zera Shimshon. You ever heard that? The Zera Shimshon state right now. Hoyul shasharim nitma machmas dam achazer kisheyachzir achazer atzmoi liyos tohir. The chazer itself will be tohir. Bizman shebol amovas hanetzach v'yekol ha'olam mesukin. V'adin noisen shegam ha'sharm yachzor l'mayla mitzukonam. So the blood of the chazer, according to one pshat I heard from my Rebbe, that the malchus haravi, the malchus that we're in, is known as the chazer because it's going to be machzir Moshiach to us, because we'll be chayzer through it to the Eibishter. Ve'im kein amu b'nei koirach, ha'b'nei koirach gezog zevos etutzach. A mensch could be full chazer treif, and still there's a place to be choser. You can come back. If the sha'arim full of dam of a chazer can come back, we can come back too, says B'nei Kairach. Im kein amr B'nei Kairach, hoyel sha'asham yalu machmas atikan, gam Kairach yala. So too he will come back. V'k'moshe kosa mekubalim ki Moshe hoya gilguloi shel hevel. Umitzad haneshama, she'ikula toivein etzricha l'sbarer. The chelek of Hevel, which was shayach to Moshe Rabbeinu, that taka didn't need anything and any tikkun. Hevel's neshama came down to Moshe, and that's why it says Vateroise ki toivu. Avo b'chinas hanefesh ha'tzricha birur. Shteit azoi, Kairach plus Hevel. Says the Zera Shimshon. Kairach is gematria 308. Hevel is 37. 37 and 308 is 345. Moshe's gematria 345. It's hara shel Hevel mispar Kairach u bechinas hara shel Hevel. She'im tosir Hevel min Moshe nishar Kairach. Oy bazoi, if Kairach mitukan would have listened to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he would sich zugestellt to do what Moshe Rabbeinu said, and would have come off of his gaiva and listened to Moshe, then Hevel would have been misukin through Kairach and Moshe Rabbeinu. But because Kairach was defiant, and because Kairach fought with him, so Mamela, he went back into the ground, and what does he say? Vozokter, Moshe emes, v'soyrosoi emes. In other words, he's being misaken now what he should have been saying when he was alive. Had he done that, Zok the Zera Shimshon, Vote das misaken gewesen by the Scheiners. He would have been misaken the nefesh and the neshama of Hevel together. Hevel with Kairach is gematria Moshe. That would have been the tikkun. V'ashar tzrichos leizbarer. When there'll come time that the world will be mesukin, the attack nu kol haneshamois shebo mekayin vehevel, the yachzru kayin vehevel mitukonim ba'olam, and at that point in time, Kayin and Hevel will all of the neshamas that came from with mesukin, oz af koirach mesukin itam. Kairach also is mesukin. Sharei kol kilkuloi hoya machmas harosh hoya behevel. What Kairach's evil was, the chelek of Hevel was is nisht mesukin. If you think about it, Kairach's job was huge. Kairach's job to be able to shtel zach zu to Moshe Rabbeinu and listened to him would have been misaken the world and would have been misaken 50% of all of the Yotzei Chalotzav in the world. Hevel and all of his koiches could have been misuken through Kairach listening to Moshe Rabbeinu. But because he didn't, therefore the world still needs a tikkun. Zok de Zera Shimshon, Mizmor la'osov. Rosmate Mizmor la'osov, says the Medrash, and that's what Rashi brings down, that's what Tosfos brings down. When they saw the Shiurim, which was covered with blood, went down to the Oretz with them, went down to the same place that Kairach went to, in the Oretz. But the Eibishter will be Chayzer. There's Dam Chazer on the Sha'arim. Sedah Chazer often Sharm, and Chazer is a lashon of Chayzer, Zok de Zera Shimshon. Bring tzirik, the koyach of the Chazer, to bring back the world to a place of tikkun. Memela, if the Sha'arim are coming back, so we're also coming back. Zok the Medrash, just like the Shifcha who loses her pot, but then when the other pot of the Melech falls in, the pot of the Melech comes out, so too comes out the pot of the Shifcha. Mizmor la'osav. Medavisin ma'ir Rabbi Sai. We're very close. We're very close that the Eibishter should bring us Bikarev Mamish. Who knows how far away we are? A matter of days. Achakaloi b'chol yom sheyavai. We're holding so close. We're holding at a time where the Eibishter Bikarev will bring back Be'ez Hashem the Beis HaMikdash. It's what we say on Tisha B'Av. Be'esh itzato, be'esh ato osed livnoisa. He'll bring it back with the zel b'koyach. Lama ala zoiche zayin be'ezus Hashem yizbarach. Kulanu biyachad. To go likras Mashiach tzidkeinu b'mheira v'yameinu. Chananya ben Akasha, Oimer Rotzak HaKadosh Baruch Hu Tzaka says Yisrael. Leficha Kibolim Torah Mitzvah Shenemar Adonai Papei Zaman Simkoi. Yadil Torah v'Yadir V'Yisrael B'Simcha. Esibah Miskadash. Shalom.